Hello guys, good evening and welcome back. Alright, so in this video I want to teach us how to start drafting. Now before we proceed, it is advisable that we learn that a yard means 36 inches, right? So once you hear 1 yard, it means measure out 36 inches. If we hear one trouser length, it means measure out 45 inches. So these are the things every designer should bear in mind. So having known that, then what makes a normal average senator outfit for a guy is 3.5. That's 3.5 yards. That's 3 yards and a half, right? So now I prefer to take my measurements in a yard and like 1 yard, 2 yards, 3 yards. So I don't prefer going by a trouser length. So I prefer going by yards or yardage. So in this tutorial, we are going to focus on using yardage or yards in our cutting or whatever we are doing. So here, let us measure this material together and know the number of yards we have. So here we have 1 yard here. We have another yard, 2 yards, right? 36, that's into 2 times now. Then here also 2 yards. So here we have 3 yards. 3 yards in total, 3 yards and some inches. So we are going to use this to make up and down. Possibly there will be a combination on the top. So the first thing to note here is to find the front and the back of the fabric. So the shiny part is always the front of the fabric, right? So once you have gotten the front and the back, then you pick the both ends of this fabric, the both ends, hold them together, and then you fling it this way in a way that the both edges will come together this way, right? Please note how I am doing this. So once you have gotten to this very point, so you hold it in this form. Now I am going to take my measurements in this direction. So this is where I am going to work. So the next thing to do is to iron out the body. As you can see, the body is rumpled, right? So I have already plugged my steam iron. So I'll make sure I iron out all the rumples. Never you cut any clothes on rumple. This will alter the fitting and your actual measurement. This is a trick I have been using over the years. So I will be glad that you also adhere to it to make you understand everything I am teaching you in this video. I will encourage you not to skip the video or not to forward it. Watch it sequentially and make sure you learn. Alright guys, so I have now finished ironing out my fabric. So the first tool to use here are the tools I am bringing out. Now, these tools must be used because if you are learning with me, your drawing or your drafting should be perfect. So the first tool I have here is what they call the hip curve. The hip curve, it has this bend area, right? Then here I have what they call the pattern master. The pattern master. So you first of all make a straight line here. So let me bring my long ruler to make the straight line. So here I have gotten my long ruler. So you must make sure you place it at the edge of your fabric this way, right? And make sure you mark a straight line. Please place like half of an inch or 3/4 of an inch this way, and make sure you mark a straight line. So this straight line is the side of your trouser, right? Is the side panel of your trouser. Then when you mark this, now the next thing to note here is I actually have a pattern how I walk. So that pattern is what I will teach you in this video, so you also understand and follow the pattern, because the pattern will help you to make you understand further in my subsequent videos. So my right hand side is always my ankle, and my left is always my waist point. So on this area, I will mark out another baseline here. Now this baseline I'm marking out is also to have a perfect line this way. Then from here, I am going to mark or draft 2 inches. I am going to mark 2 inches here. Now, these 2 inches will serve me for what they call the folding or the hemming of the trouser, right? So mark it in this form, this way. So now, my length of trouser is 41 inches, 41 and a half, 41 and a half. My trouser length, 41.5. So you place on that 41.5. Then some persons might ask me, why am I not deducting the band from the length? Now the answer is, if I apply the full length as I'm applying now, remember that I will slope the trouser by half of an inch, then half inch has removed from the 41 and a half. It now remains 41, right? Then also remember that I also sew the band with half again to the trouser body. It becomes 40 and a half. So the band is going to come back to replace the total of 1.5 inch I am removing from the whole trouser length. So I hope that is clear. So that is why I don't deduct any length from the real trouser length. I use the full length in the drafting. So I will mark 41.5 this way, mark it this way, and also mark here as well 41.5. I will mark this way. Then after this, the next thing to do here is to connect your waistline. Connect your waistline. So my waistline has been connected. Now the next thing to do is to get my crouch. So for my crouch, what I will do is I will divide my hip by 4. So I will use the quarter of the answer for my hip. So my hip is 48 by 4 is 12. So I will mark 12 inch here. But because this trouser is mine, so I prefer to wear a more fitted trouser. I will remove half of an inch from there. I will use 11 and a half. Please bear in mind that the standard formula I use for my crouch is hips over 4, right? So that is how I calculate my crouch. But that doesn't mean that there are no other methods. So I think I will make a video on that and also send to you guys to watch to know how to derive all of these things. So I will mark 11.5 for my crouch. Now the next point I want to locate now is my knee point. So my knee point is from my crouch depth. I will measure it to my ankle line. Now the length remaining here is 30. I will divide by 2 and subtract 3 inches to get my exact knee point. So if you divide 30 by 2, you have 15, right? Then minus 3 inches, you are going to have 12. So you are going to mark at 12 for your knee line. So once you have gotten these lines, you will now extend them accordingly. Please bear in mind that this works for everybody, both for adults and for kids. But for kids, you might not minus 3, you might minus 2 inches for them. So you mark this way as well. So now, this first line is my waistline, right? My waistline. And here is my crotch line, or what they call the crotch, my crotch line. And here is my knee line. And here is my knee line, crotch line, and knee line. And here is my what? Ankle line. Here is my ankle. Here's my ankle line, right? So the lines has been properly labeled. I think you can see it very well. So these are my lines I need to make my drafting come out very well. So having said that, the next thing to do here is to apply my hip over 4, which is 12, right? So 48 by 4 is 12. So you mark here and then add extra what? 2 inches. You mark 2 inches here. Now this 2 inches is a must. You must mark 2 inches. Now there is a line I want us to get, which I call the plumb line, or what they call the gradient line. So how do we get it? It's a center point from your size of the trouser to your hip to the extra 2 inches. So you measure the total distance from here to this point. That's 14. Then the middle is 7. So you mark 7 here. So this 7 is what you will take all through town. So you also mark 7 here, right? So this line is called the plumb line or the gradient line. So you mark 7 here. Now on that line is the line that you will extend all through this way. Extend it all through this way. So my gradient line has been gotten, right? Now the next thing to do here is my knee measurement is 19. So what I will do is I will add extra 1 inch to my knee before my division, right? So or rather, when you divide, add extra 1 to it. So when you have um 19, you add extra 1, that's 20, right? So when you divide 20 by 2, by 2, you have 10, right? That's 10. Now this 10, you will still need to divide it into 2 again. Why? Because you are going to place them equal positions on this knee point. So now I'm going to mark it to be 20, that's 10, that's 5 inches here, and then 5 in 10 in 10, that's 5 that's 10, right? So now after this, the next thing to do here is to mark my ankle. So my ankle measurement is 14, so I will add extra 1 to it, that's 15. I will divide by 2, 7.5, divide by 2 again, 3 1/4. So in such situation, what I will do, I will just mark out 4. I will mark out 4 here and 4 here. Right now I want to have extra allowance left at the inside of my trouser, so that in case I want to increase the measurement, I will have enough room to increase it. Now bear in mind that this method of trouser works for both female and men, right? It works for everybody as long as your measurements are correct. But please note that when you are making use of this formula of trouser, you must make sure that your measurements are correct or are perfect, so that you don't have anything to be scared of or to worry about. So connect the lines as shown, right? You can use your hip curve to connect the lines as shown. And also note that you must make sure as well that you consider your customer's calf. Now the calf is the distance between the knee point and the ankle, the middle distance here. So once you have known this, you cross-check the person's calf if it's in line with the measurement you are having there. So having said that, now the next thing to do here is to connect these lines as shown. Now please, that's the reason you must have this your accessories, this your marking tools, because these marking tools will help you to mark perfectly well and understand how these lines can be connected. Now coming to this point, now the next thing to do, some persons can decide to place the rule this way, but because it's a male trouser, I will flatten it inwards, to give it that fitting at the sides, to avoid that having a bulgy effect on the hip area. So I will link up this point to the crouch point, right? This way. Now, I also link up this to this hip line. In most cases, you can still use your straight line or use your straight ruler to link it up. You can use your straight ruler to link it up. However, so if it goes very well, fine and good. So you link it up to this very line. See, the connections are falling in place. So now the next thing to do here is to mark your waist. Now your waist measurement will not follow the pattern of your ankle and knee. You have to divide your waist by 4, and then whatever it is, mark from here inwards. So the waist I have is a waist of 38 by 4 is 9.5. I will mark it to be 9.5 and then add extra 1 inch only to the waistline. Please don't forget to add that 1 inch, it's very important. Then connect the 1 inch you have on your waistline to your actual hip line, right? Now, please note, had it been we are marking for a lady for this particular trouser, now one of the tricks to do or to apply to achieve a perfection on the fitting is by simply raising the mark of the hip straight up to the west, right? Have a mark here. Then from that mark, apply your west backwards, and then your mark will fall somewhere like here. Add extra 1 inch. Then from here, curve it this way. The curves of a lady will be visible from here. But if you are making for a male, please don't give a curve here. Leave it to be straight, and then do your waistline from here and extra 1 inch. Then after this, the next thing to do now is to raise here by 2 inches, right? So this 2 inches is called the actual hip point. The actual hip point. Now, in most cases, the lines can be drawn all through this way, but since it does not have much work to do here, I leave it only on the line that comes down from the waistline to the hip, right? So you can still decide to mark the line to come all through this way, right? It's called the actual hip point. Then after this, from the intercept here, mark 0.5 inches in a diagonal form this way, and then mark it this way, and then use your hip curve and then connect from here. Then you have your connection in a perfect mode. Please, if you are watching this video by now and you have not subscribed, please kindly subscribe so that you'll be seeing more of my videos. As you can see how clear and clean these explanations is. So you must make sure you follow us, subscribe, comment, share, tell me where you are watching from so that I will know where my viewers are mostly located. This will help me to know the type of videos I'll be making for you guys to learn in this platform. So after this now, you now go to the west slope or west slanting. Come down by ½ inch on the west, and then use your step ruler or your hip curve, whichever one, and then curve it a bit to come somewhere at the midpoint. So this is how you will draft your trouser. So the next and the last thing to do is my pocket. So from the waistline, come down here by 7 inches for standard, but I'm using 7.5 because this trouser I want it to be a bit free when I put my hand in my pocket. Then from here, you mark 2.5 inches this way for your pocket or point, and then this is all you need to do for your front panel. So look at how beautiful our trouser back panel looks like. So this is just how yours should also look, and then we are now going to start the cutting processes, and I hope you will enjoy the drafting when you are making yours as well. Let me cut now and show all the results for the back panel. Right, so now, as you can see, I have finished cutting the front panel. So the next thing we are going to cut now is the back. So we are going to fling the hip line to come towards this side again, right? Remember that here was our ankle, but in cutting the back, you must make sure you turn it over the other way around, this way. So now, please make sure you follow this video to the end, and don't forget also to subscribe to my channel, comment, and also tell me where you're watching from. So the back panel will be extended by extra 2 inch all through this way. Both the up area, the waist, the hip, and all through this way. So you have to make provision 2 inches high and then 2 inches up from here. So I normally use my baseline here to get my gauge. So extend the line on the crouch to come to the back panel, and then from there you are going to mark 2 inches all through, 2 inches all through. Let me extend it this way so that you see the 2 inches very well. So just push it in a bit, so that you see the marking very well. So 2 inches all through this way. So 2 inches this way. So mark as many times as possible. Mark at intervals, right? So mark all through this way. 2 what? Inches. So after this, extend the back waistline again by 2 inches as well, or 1.5. So also mark here 2 inches as well. So after this, connect them in twos. Connect them in twos this way. Connect them in twos this way. Connect them in twos this way, right? So make sure that the connection is also synchronizing with the shape you are seeing here. And then link up here as well in this pattern. And then from the slope line, come up by 2 inches for the west back raising. Then connect it with a curve from here. Make sure it's linked up to your front west line this way, and then link it up this way and connect it this way, right? Then make sure that here is not that sharp. You have to blend this when you are cutting. Don't make it to be that pointed. So just blend it in this way. And then once you are done with that, you are now going to cut. Okay, sorry, let us link up here. So from here, freehand sketch, you link it up with a curve. Make a curve to link up this area. So having done this now, I believe you have learned how to cut both the front panel and the back panel. So the other components will be made available on the gumming tutorial. So I will want to make this video to be handy so that you will not miss any track. So this is solely for cutting. So all the other components needed. Okay, let me just show it at once so that you can actually have a full clip in one, right? So just make sure you follow the process or the procedures I have outlined, and then we now go to the next video, which will be the components of this trouser, right? So cut them as shown. Make sure you follow my pattern and don't combine two methods together, because when you want to combine, you have difficulty in joining. So make sure you follow the pattern I am showing you. So when you have questions to ask, I will be able to answer you properly. So just cut as shown. So look at how the cutting went. So once you are done with this, now you also differentiate the front and the back this way. Also differentiate the front and the back as well. So I will see you in the next video, which will be the components of the trouser and the gumming of them. And then the third video of this sewing, this trouser will be the sewing. So make sure you follow the one episode 2, and then episode 3. That will give you the full knowledge on this trouser. Thanks guys for watching. See you in my next video.